Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Our coverage of Agatha All Along continues with Episode 5, Darkest Hour, Wake Thy Power. Written by Laura Monti and directed by Rachel Goldberg. As always, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place because I do these unscripted and may decide to talk about spoilers. If you do not wish to be spoiled, Agatha All Along streams on Disney+. Episode 5 of 9. We are passing the halfway point, which means this is the game changer episode. I don't know if that's the official name for it or not, it's just what I call it. A game changer episode is an episode in a serialized show, usually serialized, that alters the course, that alters the trajectory of the series from that point forward. So, up until this point, we've had Agatha and her coven walking the witch's road, encountering trials that test each of them, hoping to reach the end. From this episode, while they're still going to be doing that, apparently, more on that later when we start talking more heavy spoilers, now things have changed. The first thing that has changed, in episode 1, Rio mentioned that the Salem 7 was coming after Agatha. And we get a little more information on who the Salem 7 are because they don't have their comic backstory. Tangent, if you're unfamiliar. Agatha Harkness got her start as a Fantastic Four character. Reed Richards and Susan Storm hired her to be the nanny of their firstborn child. It is eventually revealed that Agatha is from a secret community of magic users. And through some means, plot stuff, I don't exactly know. I've never read the comics, so I just read plot summaries. When the Fantastic Four ventures into this hidden community, they run afoul of, I believe he's the head of the village, the head of this community, Agatha's son, Nicholas Scratch. And in doing so, Nicholas Scratch creates the Salem 7 to face the Fantastic Four. That is not their backstory in the series. We get a flashback, I think it is very brief, like we were already supposed to know this information, so I assume it's from WandaVision, of Agatha's coven, led by her mother, trying to kill her, only for Agatha to use her absorption powers and wipe them out. According to Jennifer, it was either Jennifer or Lilia, the Salem 7 are the children of the other members of Agatha's coven, who sort of grew up, who Agatha spared, I should add that, and then sort of grew up wanting revenge against her. Now, what happened is, in the spell, in the previous episode, when the coven summoned Rio to fill the position of Green Witch, they didn't close the door. Essentially the portal that Rio came through. Which means now there was an entry point that the Salem 7 can go through to pursue them. So we have our first encounter with the Salem 7. It's nothing special. It's just sort of for lack of a better explanation, dine and dash. They encounter the witch and they flee immediately. And then that leads us to our trial. Now, this is the first hint that this episode is changing the trajectory of the rest of the series going forward. Because, as I mentioned, each trial so far, it seems, has been testing a different witch. In episode 3, it was Jennifer's trial. In episode 4, the previous episode, it was Alice's trial. So you'd think, going down the line, this episode, it would be Lilia's trial. This is Agatha's trial. Kind of. It could also be seen as a trial for the entire coven, how strong are their bonds. So they go into this, what appears to be a treehouse, and they take on an 80s aesthetic. Like, the trial this time takes sort of 80s slasher, sort of really 80s horror vibes. Goofy hairstyles, dated fashions, aesthetics about the 80s that I love. And the ghost of Agatha's mother appears, because the trial makes them play around with a Ouija board. And Agatha's mother says that they will go. She will let the coven go if they give her Agatha. I'm ghosting over the plot points really fast because there is more to this episode I want to talk about than just the plot. Now, the coven is kind of in disagreement about what to do, especially Rio. Like, Rio wants to kill Agatha. She kind of makes that clear, and people even question her, but she wants to be the one to do it. So when the ghost of Agatha's mother says she's going to get rid of her, Rio has an issue with that. She just says, like, I'm not letting anyone else have her. Now, like I said, I accidentally saw the Funko leaks about Rio, so I know what her deal is. I don't want to talk about that particular spoiler until it happens in the series. The other spoiler that Funko kind of leaked, we will talk about it because it does happen in this episode. In the ensuing scuffle, Alice tries to use her magic to save Agatha, and it is very obviously, very clearly framed as an accident. The spell, in doing so, the spell sort of triggers, once again, Agatha's absorption powers, and she begins stealing Alice's magic to the point that she kills Alice. And then the trial ends, and the teen confronts Agatha. Despite seemingly passing himself off as an Agatha fanboy, was it a ruse? Was it an act? Or was he genuine? We don't know. He suddenly questions Agatha's motives, is power all she wants? And then suddenly, he uses his own powers against her. We know the teen wanted to study magic of some kind. He wanted his own kind of power. But there was also a sigil on him, so he couldn't tell people his name or who he was or anything about him. And now we know why. So I know I'm kind of dancing around it, especially given that I shared the theories the fandom had, but we have our confirmation. The teen is Wiccan, aka Billy Kaplan, aka Billy Maximoff, aka Wanda's son. So this is obviously huge because seemingly, again, I'm going to call him Billy now instead of Teen. Billy's powers activate, and he seemingly possesses, seemingly without knowing it, possesses Lilia and Jen, who throw Agatha into a pit of quicksand, or a mud pit, or let's just call it quicksand. And then he banishes them into the quicksand as well. It looked like he may not know he has this power, what he's capable of. What's going to happen? I don't want to speculate much further than that. I don't really like speculation. Well, I like speculation as a fun thought exercise. Anything beyond that, I don't like, because I've seen what happens in fandoms when people speculate too hard. And when we get the reveal of whatever it is, if it wasn't what their speculation was, they get mad. So I don't like speculating for that reason. If anything beyond just for fun. Like, once it starts getting serious, that's when I stop. So, performances across the episode were really solid. Once again, Catherine Hahn is just the standout. We get some really interesting insights into Agatha. Like, the ghost of Agatha's mother. What she says, she says, when Agatha asks, why does she hate her? Her mom responds, you were always evil. I should have killed you the minute you were born. And you can put a queer reading onto that, aside from what Agatha is capable of and what kind of witch she is and what her power of absorption magic is capable of. Beyond that, the way her mother demonizes her simply for existing, and kind of some of the hints we get in this series, I wish they would stop dancing around it and kind of go into it. Again, you can just put a queer reading onto that. I don't want to get more into that. We also but also at the same time, despite the fact that Agatha is opening up, Agatha is softening. She has shown concern for her coven in the past. Like in episode 3, she showed concern for Lilia, when she was having her hallucination, her nightmare, she acted out of concern. She made sure Lilia was okay. And when Jen was doubting herself, Agatha gave her a pep talk, tried to build her up, hype her up. And we get a little bit of that in the next episode too, not to the same degree, but also at the same time, Agatha, seemingly now the sort of crazed, demented, for lack of a better word, personality we get from Agatha also seems to be a front. Like, it's her putting walls up, and it really shows, like, in her confrontation with the teen after the trial ends. Like, they leave the house that this trial takes place in. They're back on the road, and Agatha's obviously very shaken. You can see how devastated she is that Alice is dead. But then when the teen confronts her, she flips a switch and she turns to face him, and she has that crazed look in her eyes. She has that wicked smile on her face, and she sort of goads him and teases him, ultimately leading up to the awakening of his powers with that phrase, "You're just like your mother." We also get some interesting insight, so Catherine Hahn is great, Joe Locke is great. I really wish Alice hadn't died, just because, one, I really liked Alice, and again, like I talked about in the last episode, the details of her curse just seemed really half-baked and underformed. Like, they didn't have the full scope of what happened. Like, who cursed Alice? Who cursed Alice's family, I should say? What was the nature of the curse? Why were they cursed? That doesn't matter. What matters is she's cursed. Circle around to the point I was saying. The details of Alice's curse just feel half-baked. People were speculating that Alice was gonna die because, as it was said in an earlier episode, she wanted to walk the road to find out what happened to her mother, and it seemed Alice's trial gave her closure. We also get some really interesting details about Jennifer here, or not details, like there's no new developments here, but just something I've kind of been noticed building up. Jennifer Kale seems to be the most resistant member of Agatha's coven, the most hesitant, the most confrontational. Agatha has her moments of showing genuine concern for the members of her cousin, be it Lilia, be it Alice, being Teen, Billy, even being Jen. But Jen is always confrontational. She's always ready to blame Agatha for something or confront Agatha about something, whether she's responsible or not. She's very harsh. Like, again, in episode 3, when she saw sort of the teen sort of idolization, I'm going to keep doing that. Oh, well. When she saw Billy's idolization of Agatha, she told Billy the rumors about Agatha's son, the rumor that she sold her child for the Darkhold. And it's got me speculating, again, now that the Salem 7 is on the Witch's Road hunting her, and now that we have the reveal, Billy's reveal and his powers awaken, it's leading me to this speculation that Jennifer is going to be a turncoat. At the first opportunity, when Agatha is weaker and when it suits her the most, Jennifer is going to betray her, without a second glance. That's going to be my speculation here, but I won't stop there. And I already kind of talked about Rio. We get some real interesting insight to her. She's still on her sort of crusade to kill Agatha, but when the ghost of Agatha's mother says she wants to kill her, Rio objects to that. She wants Agatha dead, but it's not that she wants Agatha dead. She wants to be the one to kill her. And again, there are spoilers for Rio that I know are coming up that I have seen. I just don't want to talk about them until they come up in the series. So yeah, once again, the episodes are just climbing. So just to conclude, the episodes are just climbing in quality. Again, episode 2 was better than episode 1. Episode 3 was better than episode 2. Episode 5 is another really strong episode, continuing to climb the quality of the series. Catherine Hahn is once again amazing. The plot moves forward, and I'm really interested to see how it is changed with all of the reveals we've got. And there are some really good dramatic beats. I imagine, I'm not going to do a ranking at the end like I do with Doctor Who. Well, I might, but I imagine this might be my favorite episode. It certainly is right now. But those are just my thoughts. Agatha All Along, episode 5. Have you seen it yet? What are yours? Please start a conversation in the comments below. And remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And in the description box below, you'll find the link to my socials where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.